Testing! Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. This is my third video back from like a month and a half off of YouTube, so I kind of don't remember how to talk. I love reading in the fall. I feel like summer reading is a time that like people, at least for me, like I get so excited for summer reading, and then summer comes and it's always the craziest time, the most social I am. I live in New York. It's like the one time we all leave our little crouton-shaped apartments and get out into the world and like stop being depressed. I don't really read as much as I fantasize I'm going to read in the summer. Hello. Fall is usually, we start to come inside a little bit more, start to slow down a little bit. That's when the cozy reading starts. So I'm going to share with you some books in my fall TBR. I've made some of these videos in the past, mainly kind of like highlighting upcoming releases, and there will be some upcoming releases, but I just find that like when I focus just on upcoming releases, I'm not actually focusing on books that I truly have on my TBR and books I actually want to read in the fall. And there are so many books I want to read this fall that like have been out for a while, and we have to give those books love too. These are all the books I want to read this fall. Actually, not all of the books I want to read this fall, but a lot of books I want to read this fall. Let's get into it. This is my TBR cart. We all have TBR carts here on YouTube. If you like this one, you can buy yours if you go to my description and click the link down below. The first book on my TBR, my fall TBR. Oh, I've been procrastinating this one for a very long time, but I really want to manifest this book for this fall, and that's A Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is dark academia at its finest, so I hear. Under the influence of their charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at an elite New England college discover a way of thinking and living that is a world away from the humdrum existence of their contemporaries. But when they go beyond the boundaries of normal morality, they slip gradually from obsession to corruption and betrayal, and at last inexorably into evil. I think it's secret society kind of vibes. My mom loves this book. My friend Taylor loves this book. Everyone has been telling me to read this. It's a little thick and intimidating and serious sounding. I do think I will like it, so I am really going to try my hardest to read it this month. Okay, next is a book, probably the book that I've owned the longest, maybe in this apartment. Period. I got it when I was probably 11 or 12 when the musical came out, and that was all I listened to. That's this little guy right here, Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I have tried to read this as a child. It's just very dark. It is the book that the musical is based off of, and I really want to read it before the movie comes out. It's a goal of mine. I read Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. Was not my favorite, but I want to read this one because I just feel like I should. I'm a huge fan of The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland. I said that with like a New Jersey accent. Oops. I'm a huge fan of The Wizard of Oz. I'm a huge fan of Judy Garland. I love Wicked, the musical. So it's just like, I feel like it's part of the lore, and like I really should read this. It's just also one of these like intimidating books. I mean, like, I remember trying to read this as a kid and being like, what the fuck? But I'm not a kid anymore. Actually, if you were to strip me down to my bare bones, you would just see the geekiest musical theater kid in front of you. For those of you that don't know, Wicked is the untold story of the Witches of Oz, but this one focuses more on the life and times of specifically the Wicked Witch of the West. I don't know if this is like, you know, the musical focuses on female friendship and like both of their stories. I feel like this one is mainly more about Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, but we'll see. I know Glinda is a big part of it. We love a good villain origin story. We love Oz. Let's go. Next on my list, I already read one of them. It is the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I do have the first book. It's all the way in the other room, 8 whole feet away from me. No, definitely more. Definitely like 16 feet away from me, so I don't want to go get it. But the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I love the first book. I give it a 4.75. The second book is going to be arriving on my stoop later this evening. I'm very excited to read it. I might just forego the book that I was going to start and just go right into the next book. I heard that the third book isn't as good as the first two, which is a bummer, but I'm still going to read all of them. I don't know what's taking me so long. It really like the first one. I read it in a day. It was a great book to read in a day. It was very fast moving. It reminded me how I felt when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses for the first time. Definitely felt more connected to those characters in A Court of Thorns and Roses, but just in terms of like the pace of the plot, the character intentions, and it's all there. I'm excited to finally have read this series. The next book on my list I'm actually listening to now. It's called The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. into the woods. It's a mystery. This girl has gone disappearing at this camp in the 70s, and there's a ton of timelines and a ton of characters, and I'm getting towards the end and I'm excited. I made this TBR list obviously like a few days ago, and I've already started my fall TBR, even though it is still technically summer, but it's 60 degrees out and it's September, so like, what do you want from me? Yeah, Gone in the Woods. Another book highly recommended by my friend Taylor. Shout out. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know what I'm going to rate it. I think it depends on how it ends, but it's definitely quick moving. It's definitely a woven web. I think a lot of people are talking about this book too, so I would definitely recommend it. Next, my friend Rosa gave me this book. This is like her favorite series ever, and that is Outlander. This is a huge series. In my mind, I'm like, I'm reading the first book, and then if I like it, I will go on. This is like a sexy time travel book, I believe. Scottish Highlands, 1945. Claire Randall, a former British combat nurse, is just back from the war and reunited with her husband on a second honeymoon when she walks through a standing stone in one of the ancient circles that dot the British Isles. Suddenly, she is an outlander. In a Scotland torn by war and raiding clans in the year of our Lord, 1743. Claire is catapulted into the intrigues of the world that threatens her life and may shatter her heart, marooned amid danger, passion, and violence. Her only chance of safety lies in Jamie Fraser, a gallant young Scots warrior. What begins in compulsion becomes urgent need, and Claire finds herself torn between two very different men in two irreconcilable lives. This is also a TV series from like a while ago, but I hear it's really good and very highly recommended by my friend Rosa, so I will give it a try. She said read it more towards like the winter months, so this might be like a late fall read for me. It's a thick one and there's a lot of words on each page. I don't like it when there's a lot of words on each page, I'm not gonna lie. The typeface is important. Next I have Trick Mirror. This has also been on my list for a very long time. It is a nonfiction, I believe, like feminist book by Gia Tolentino. A breakout writer at The New Yorker examines the fractures at the center of contemporary culture with verve, deftness, and intellectual ferocity for readers who've wondered what Susan Sontag would be like if she had brain damage from the internet. Yeah, I think it's just kind of like a feminist book about conflicts, contradictions. It's 9 original essays just about the times and stuff. I've had this for so long, I just haven't read it, and I need to read it. There we go. Next book I don't have, and if you've been following me for a while, you might be surprised that it's on my list, because it's the new Sally Rooney book, and I really did not enjoy Conversations with Friends. I didn't even read Normal People, but, you know, this cover's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't even know what it's about. Let's see. Aside from the fact that they're brothers, Peter and Ivan, seem to have little in common. Peter's a Dublin lawyer in his 30s, successful, competent, and apparently unassailable. But in the wake of their father's death, he's medicating himself to sleep and struggling to manage his relationships with two very different women, his enduring first love Sylvia and Naomi, a college student for whom life is one long joke. Evan is a 22-year-old competitive chess player. He has always seen himself as socially awkward, a loner, the antithesis of his glib elder brother. Now, in the early weeks of his bereavement, he meets Margaret, an older woman emerging from her own turbulent past, and their lives become rapidly and intensely intertwined. This is cool. I don't know, I like the sound of this, but I also might hate it, so we'll see. Okay, next I have Wild Eyes, which is the sequel to Wild Love by Elsie Silver. The first Elsie Silver book I read, and the only one I've read so far, is Wild Love. Welcome back to Rose Hill. Woo! This is everyone's favorite Elsie Silver series so far. I think this just came out. So I guess this is not about the same characters. A rugged mountain town seemed like the perfect escape from a life in shambles, but on day one, I ran full tilt into the world's hottest single dad, and now all my plans are ruined. As a chart-topping country singer with a recent streak of bad press, it's hard to find any peace, but I will find it in Rose Hill. With a little boy and a little girl who steal my heart just as thoroughly as their dad, Weston Belmont. This man is a shameless flirt. I don't remember this character from the first book. This man is a shameless flirt. He oozes confidence and masculinity in a way that's downright distracting, and in bed, he's addictive. Oh my god. I don't love westerns, I'm not gonna lie. Western romances, they just don't really do it for me, but I kind of liked Wild Love. I think I gave it a 4-star actually, so I will read this, if not just to be part of the conversation. Next, I have Blue Sisters. A goal of mine is to read more literary fiction this year. I think I have been doing that. And I think Blue Sisters is literary fiction. I love the cover. I kind of wish I chose this for my book of the month, but I do like the book I chose to. This is 3 estranged siblings return to their family home in New York after their beloved sister's death in this unforgettable story of grief, identity, and the complexities of family. This looks like a movie I want to make right now. I mean, and just cast myself as one of these women and then cast 3 other people that I've always wanted to work with in the other 3 roles. Like, I love a good character-driven story. There's nothing like it. Next, I have Die Hot with a Vengeance, which I also just read. This is a collection of essays about beauty, basically. The author worked for Allure, and so she has this unique insight on beauty and its relationship to the beauty industry and money and wealth and marketing and, you know, all of this stuff. I said in my review there's something super, super groundbreaking in it. Like, it's a lot of basic feminist kind of principles. Hello! Yeah. What was I saying? Got distracted. Yeah, nothing like totally new, but it was interesting reading about these things, these ideas, through the lens of somebody that like used to work in the beauty industry. Next, I want to read the Kristen Hanna books. So I want to do, at least this fall, The Four Winds, and I want to read The Nightingale. I feel like those are her 2 biggest books. I haven't read anything by her yet, and I feel like I'm going to love this author, and I feel like I'm going to love her books. Historical fiction. So, Four Winds is Texas in 1934, set in the Great Depression. Elsa Martinelli, like so many of her neighbors, must make the agonizing choice: fight for the land she loves or go west to California. In search of a better life. The Four Winds is an indelible portrait of America and the American dream, as seen through the eyes of one indomitable woman whose courage and sacrifice will come to define a generation. The Nightingale, this is almost 10 years old, this book. Oh, she wrote Firefly Lane? I want to read that too. I really like that show. This is about the author. Where's the description? Oh, this is so long. Okay, so we're doing France, 1939, during World War II. It's falling in love during a time of war and strife, and he betrays her, and so she joins the resistance and never looks back, risking her life time and again to save others. This one seems intense. The other, like, Four Winds seems more inspiring. This one seems like harrowing. I'm excited to read both of those. I don't think I'm going to be able to read them in a row. I feel like I'm going to have to, like, read one, read a bunch of rom-coms, read the next one. Next, I have The Ministry of Time, which I've had for a minute, and so many people have read this and have loved it. It's a I will love you in any time trope, I think. This is a really long description. I would like to find one that's shorter because I don't think any of you are interested in sitting there hearing me basically read the entire book to you when all you want is a summary. Oh, interesting. This book really only has a 3.62 average rating on Goodreads, which really is not the highest. A time travel romance, a spy thriller, a workplace comedy, and an ingenious exploration of the nature of power and the potential for love to change it all. I have heard this is really good. I'll give it a try. I'll let you know what I think. A boy meets girl, the past meets the future. A finger meets a trigger, the beginning meets the end. I mean, I'm intrigued, I guess. Next on my list is If We Were Villains. I've just seen this so much throughout my reading journey. I finally went to read the description. I was like, oh, this sounds like something right up my alley. So I will read the description. Oliver Marks has just served 10 years in jail for a murder he may or may not have committed. On the day he's released, he's greeted by the man who put him in prison. Detective Colborne is retiring, but before he does, he wants to know what really happened a decade ago. As one of 7 young actors studying Shakespeare at an elite arts college, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off. Hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenue, extra. It's so sad. But when the casting changes and the secondary characters usurp the stars, the plays spill dangerously over into life, and one of them is found dead. The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless. And then I kind of want to reread A Court of Thorns and Roses, just because I feel like as a reader, you have those books that like made you fall in love with reading again, that just really transport you because you love them so much, and I feel like every once in a while it comes time to reread something. Since I got back into reading again as an adult, I haven't reread any books, and I feel like it's time. I might just do the last 2 because I'm a Nesta girly. But we'll see. I might just read through the whole thing again, because why not? Those are a few books on my fall TBR. I am definitely feeling uninspired by my TBR cart recently. There was a point in time where you know what I also want to read? This was not on my list. I do want to read these. The Six of Crows and the Crooked Kingdom. I hear they're good. They are YA. I I think it's healthy as an adult to read a little YA, as long as you read other books too. Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. And let me know if you've read any of these or any other books that are on your fall TBR or any books that you think I should add to mine. That's it. Have a great weekend.